The stars were quiet that night. Only the broken world below them remembered noise, the noise of a planet that once dreamed too big. Earth was dead. Its oceans were dry, its cities buried under ash. The winds carried dust through the skeletons of skyscrapers. Once billions had lived here. Now only silence walked among the ruins. Far above, a silver ship floated in orbit. It was not human. The ship belonged to the Threx Dominion, an ancient alien empire that studied lost civilizations. Inside the ship, 3 alien scientists stood before a cracked blue sphere. Their leader, Commander Vurok, folded his scaled arms and stared down. "So this," he said, his voice cold and amused, "was the home of the humans." Another alien laughed. "Home? It looks more like a graveyard." The third one, younger and curious, tilted his head. "They say humans destroyed themselves, wars, pollution, machines they couldn't control." Vurok nodded slowly. "Yes, they burned their own world." How pathetic. A race that wanted the stars, but couldn't even save their home. The aliens landed their craft among the ruins of what was once New York City. The skyline was nothing more than bones of steel. The ground was cracked, covered in gray dust. The sea was gone, leaving only a desert where waves once danced. The aliens moved carefully through the streets. Their scanners beeped softly, reading the energy in the area. Nothing lived here anymore. No plants, no animals, no life. They stopped before a huge statue half buried in sand. The stone face was broken, but the letters at its base still read, "Humanity endures." One alien laughed. "Endures?" They didn't even survive. They took pictures, collecting samples from the ruins, melted metal, bones turned to dust, burnt pages of old books. Everything told the same story. The fall of mankind. Vurok spoke again, his tone proud and mocking. They thought they were powerful. They built weapons, machines, cities that touched the clouds, but in the end they destroyed themselves. That is the curse of small minds with big dreams. As they explored, the younger alien noticed something strange. His scanner showed a weak signal, very old but still active. "Commander, I'm picking up a transmission." "It's coming from underground," Vurok frowned. "Impossible. Nothing should be working after all this time." They followed the signal to a collapsed building. Beneath the rubble, they found an old metallic door, half buried and rusted. A symbol was carved into it, a human hand reaching for a star. The younger alien brushed away the dust. "It's still powered." "The signal is repeating something." Vurok stepped closer. "Play it." The alien activated the translator. The static cleared, and a broken human voice echoed through the dark room. "This is Earth Command, if anyone hears this. Humanity endures. Humanity remembers." The message repeated again and again. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. "How can this signal still exist?" one asked. "The power source should have died centuries ago." Vurok didn't answer. He stared at the door, the faint light blinking behind it. Something deep in his chest, something he didn't understand, made him uneasy. The younger alien whispered, "Do you think—" "They survived?" Vurok snapped. "Nonsense. This is only a recording. A ghost of a dead species." Still the words echoed in his mind. "Humanity endures. Humanity remembers." They tried to open the door, but it wouldn't move. The machinery inside was locked tight, humming faintly with ancient energy. Vurok turned away. "We're done here. Take what you need. Then burn this place. Let the wind finish what time started." The aliens began walking back toward their ship. Behind them, the ruins shimmered in the heat. The statue of Humanity Endures still stood half buried, silent, watching. But as their ship lifted off, something strange happened. Deep below the Earth's surface, inside the buried chamber, lights began to flicker. A console lit up. Old machines hummed to life. The signal repeated, louder now, clearer. "Humanity endures. Humanity remembers. We are coming back." The voice was no longer broken. It sounded new, powerful, alive. In orbit, the alien ship's systems suddenly froze. The transmission reached them. Alarms flashed red across their screens. "What is this?" shouted one of the aliens. "It's hacking our systems." Vurok stared at the screen. The same human message appeared in glowing letters. "We are coming back." Then everything went dark. The stars above Earth flickered as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The ship's engines restarted after a long moment, but the aliens said nothing. None of them laughed now. Far below, beneath the ruins of human civilization, a hidden machine continued to awaken. Metal walls trembled as if something ancient was breathing again. And in the darkness, a single blue light turned on, the symbol of a human hand reaching for a star. Humanity was not gone. It was waiting. Centuries before the ruins, before the silence, before the world turned to dust, Earth was still alive but dying fast. The sky was red with smoke. The oceans boiled with poison. Cities burned with endless wars. Every nation blamed another. Every leader promised peace, but prepared for destruction. The human race stood at the edge of extinction, and most of them didn't even know it, but some did. Hidden deep under the ice of Antarctica, a secret project was being built. It was called Project Ark, humanity's last hope. Inside a massive underground hangar, thousands of workers and scientists moved with quiet urgency. Giant engines were being fitted into a ship the size of a city. Its metal skin gleamed like silver under blue lights. The leader of the project, Dr. Ilara Voss, stood on the highest platform, her eyes fixed on the ship. She was calm, but her voice carried the weight of centuries. "If Earth must die," she said softly, "then let her children carry her memory to the stars." Her assistant, a young engineer named Ryan Holt, turned to her. "Ma'am, the governments are falling. The surface is chaos. We can't hide the launch much longer." Ilara nodded slowly. "Then we don't hide. We launch." That night the world above burned. Bombs fell like rain. Satellites went dark. Cities vanished in flashes of fire. But far beneath the frozen continent, the Ark came alive. The ship's name was Eden 1, carved proudly on its side. It was designed not for war but for survival. Inside were 10,000 humans, scientists, engineers, doctors, children. The best of what remained. They had no armies, no weapons, only hope. Ilara walked through the corridors one last time, looking at the people she had saved. Some were crying, some were silent. Some held small metal cubes, digital memories of Earth, forests, oceans, laughter, songs, the things they never wanted to forget. In the command room, Ryan's voice trembled. "All systems ready. We are leaving Earth." Ilara looked at the giant screen showing the world above, black clouds, fire, lightning. "Record this moment," she said. "Let history remember who we were." The engines roared, shaking the underground city. Ice cracked above them like thunder. The Ark rose slowly, breaking through miles of frozen rock until it reached the surface, a white storm raging around it. For a moment, it hovered over the ice, the last human creation on a dying planet. Then, with a flash of blue light, it lifted toward the stars. Below, the Earth began to fade, smaller, darker, covered in smoke. A child pressed her hand against the glass and whispered, "Goodbye, home." Ilara stood behind her, silent, her heart heavy but steady. "We will come back," she said softly. "One day when the stars remember us." As the Ark left orbit, a final transmission was sent back to Earth. "This is Eden 1. Humanity endures. Humanity remembers." That message would echo for centuries, through static, through silence, through the ashes of time. The Ark's journey was long and full of danger. For years, they drifted between dead worlds and frozen moons. Many lost hope. Supplies ran low. Entire generations lived and died inside the ship, but humanity did not stop. They learned. They adapted. They survived. Children grew up under artificial skies, learning about a planet they had never seen. Teachers told stories of trees, rain, and sunlight, things that sounded like magic. Ilara grew old but never gave up. Even in her last days, she stood by the observation window staring at the endless stars. Rian sat beside her, now grey-haired and tired. "We've been searching for so long," he said. "Do you still believe we'll find a new home?" Ilara smiled faintly. "We already have. As long as we are alive, humanity lives. That is our home, not a planet, but each other." When she died, they buried her inside the Ark, near the control core. Above her chamber, they placed a simple plaque. She carried Earth to the stars. Years turned into centuries. The Ark's descendants became stronger, smarter, united. They called themselves the Starborn, the children of Earth and the sky. They no longer spoke of despair, but of destiny. And then, one day, the ship's sensors detected something, a world with air, water, and light. A perfect home. The Ark descended, engines glowing bright blue. When the ship landed, dust rose into golden sunlight. The people stepped out and looked around. Green fields, blue rivers, white clouds. A young star-born girl lifted her face to the sky and smiled. "We made it," she whispered. "They called the new world Nova Terra, New Earth. They built cities of glass and silver, gardens that floated in the air, and towers powered by light itself. Humanity had begun again, smaller, wiser, stronger. But deep in their history archives, one message still played endlessly, like a heartbeat from the past. This is Earth Command. Humanity endures. Humanity remembers. Far away in the black silence of the old galaxy, other civilizations laughed at the story of humans, the species that burned itself to death. They never knew the truth. The children of Earth were alive, and they were watching. Centuries passed since the Arc-Eden One left the dying Earth. Generations were born and died under alien suns, and the memory of the old world slowly turned into legend. The humans now called themselves the Starborn, children of Earth and sky. They lived on Nova Terra, a bright green planet with rivers like glass and skies of gold. At first, life was hard. The air was strange, the weather unpredictable, but humanity learned to adapt, just as they always had. They built homes from crystal sand, grew food from soil mixed with alien minerals, and turned the wreck of their old ship into a living city. They named it Voss Haven, after their first leader, Dr. Ilara Voss, whose dream had carried them across the void. Every year, on the day of the Ark's landing, the people gathered under the glowing towers. They lit blue fires and told stories of Earth, of oceans, rain, and the voice that said, "Humanity endures." Children listened wide-eyed, as if hearing a myth. To them, Earth was not a memory but a promise, a reminder that humans could rise from ashes and touch the stars, a new generation. 300 years after landing, a young commander named Lyra Voss, the great-granddaughter of Ilara Voss, stood on the observation deck of the Orbital Academy. Before her, hundreds of small ships practiced maneuvers around Nova Terra. Silver wings glinted in sunlight as pilots shouted through comms. Humanity had learned to fly again, not to escape but to explore. Lyra smiled. "Grandmother," she whispered, "we made it, but our journey isn't over." Under her leadership, humans began to rebuild what they once lost: science, art, unity. They created vast universities, floating gardens, and tall towers that reached the clouds, but they never forgot the darkness of the past. Their historians taught the truth. Arrogance destroyed us once. Unity saved us. Remember that always. The Starborn fleet, as centuries passed, humanity's curiosity grew. They built faster ships powered by quantum energy, a force they discovered in the heart of Nova Terra's twin moons. It was pure, limitless, and dangerous. But the humans mastered it. Other alien races watched from afar, surprised that this once extinct species was now rising faster than anyone expected. The humans called their new fleet the Starborn Guard, not for conquest but for defense. They explored nearby systems, finding ancient ruins, strange signals, and signs of life, both friendly and hostile. During one mission, a human ship found an old probe drifting in the void. Its surface bore markings of the Threx Dominion, the same alien empire that had once mocked Earth's destruction. Lyra studied the data and frowned. The probe contained a message log, recordings of aliens laughing at the primitive humans who burned their own world. The crew listened in silence. Then Lyra said quietly, "They mocked our ruins, and forgot that ruins can rise again." That night she stood before the Starborn Council. "We are strong now. We can travel the stars. But make no mistake, one day those who laughed at our fall will see us rise." Her words spread through the colonies like fire. Humans began training harder, studying alien languages, learning tactics, and building alliances with peaceful races who respected their resilience. The spark of destiny. One day, explorers discovered a massive structure floating near a dying star, a ship graveyard. Inside the wreckage, they found something extraordinary: the remains of an ancient human satellite. No one knew how it had survived or how it reached that far. When they activated it, a small hologram appeared, the Earth itself blue and alive, spinning slowly in space. A voice echoed, "This is Earth Command. If anyone hears this, remember who we are." The crowd stood in silence. Some wept. Others saluted. Lyra whispered, "The universe forgot us. But we never forgot ourselves. She ordered the satellite to be placed in the center of Voss Haven's capital square. Every night its blue light shone into the sky, a reminder of where they came from. A quiet warning, but not everyone celebrated. In the shadows of deep space, alien observers of the Threx Dominion began to take notice. Reports spread. The humans survived. They are rebuilding. They have ships. At first, the Dominion laughed again. Let them play at being starfarers, one Threx commander sneered. They will fall as before. But when a starborn exploration fleet saved a Threx outpost from a collapsing sun, their power became undeniable. The Threx captain who witnessed it whispered in disbelief. They harnessed a dying star and lived. Rumors spread fast. Some called humans the children of fire. Others called them the ghosts of Earth. The Threx Dominion, once arrogant, began to feel a flicker of fear. The promise of the stars on the 10th anniversary of the fleet's founding, Lyra stood before thousands of citizens. Her voice echoed across the planet and through every ship in orbit. Once our ancestors crawled through dust. They burned their world and fell into darkness. But they did not vanish. They became us. The stars are not the end of our story. They are our new beginning. The crowd roared. Starships lit up the sky, engines glowing like shooting stars. In that moment, the universe changed. Humanity was no longer a forgotten ghost. They were a rising power, calm, wise, but unstoppable. Far away in the cold heart of the Threx Dominion, leaders began to whisper to one another. If the humans truly command the stars one day, will they forgive us? Across the black sea of stars, far from Nova Terra, the Threx Dominion ruled with iron and pride. Their empire stretched across hundreds of worlds, each one shining like a jewel under their control. Their cities were carved into asteroids, their fleets darkened entire skies. They were powerful, ancient, and feared. The Threx had forgotten what humility meant. For centuries they told a story, a cruel joke passed between generals and scholars. Remember the humans? They burned their own planet. They dreamed of stars but choked on their smoke. Every time someone spoke the word human, it was met with laughter. To the Threx, humanity was a warning, a failed species. But that laughter was about to die. The cracks began to show. It started quietly, on the outer rim worlds of the Dominion. Colonies stopped sending reports. Outposts went silent. Merchant ships vanished between stars. At first, the Threx command thought it was piracy or system failure. They sent scout ships to investigate. None returned. Then, a week later, one ship did. Or what was left of it. A patrol cruiser drifted into port empty, its hull scorched, its crew gone. On the side of the ship, burned deep into the metal, were two words: Remember Earth. The Dominion's High Council gathered in their golden halls. The chamber was massive, filled with shimmering lights and high thrones. Overlord Carthun, ruler of the Threx, slammed his claws against the armrest. Who dares use that word? Earth, a world of ashes. A commander bowed low. We don't know, my lord, but whoever they are, they have ships faster than ours, stronger. They strike without warning, another officer added, voice shaking. They don't destroy cities. They disable them. They take our data, our supplies, and vanish into light, Carthun hissed. Ghosts do not steal technology. Find them. Crush them. The whispers of fear weeks turned into months. The attacks grew bolder. Entire fleets disappeared. Survivors, few and broken, spoke of ships black as shadow, moving without sound, marked by a single symbol, a human hand reaching for a star. Some said they saw human faces behind the helmets. Others swore they heard a voice through the radio before their systems died. You mocked our ruins. Now we rise. The Dominion tried to censor the stories, but whispers spread fast. Traders, soldiers, citizens, all spoke in fear of the Starborn. The name began as rumor, then legend, then truth. The admirals, Hunt Admiral Tarek Valon, one of the Dominion's greatest warriors, refused to believe the tales. Humans are dead, he told his crew. I studied their history. They were weak, foolish, self-destructive. This is no ghost. It's a trick. He led a massive fleet, 50 warships, into the dark region where the disappearances began. Days passed with nothing but static. Then one night the stars vanished. Sir, his navigator whispered, something is blocking our sensors. Before they could react, a massive shadow appeared ahead, silent, black, and enormous. The alien screens flickered. and then a voice came through every channel. "Admiral Valon of the Threx Dominion, you mock what you do not understand." Valon froze. "Who speaks?" "We are the children of the world you burned with laughter. We are humanity reborn." The fleet opened fire, bright beams cutting through the void, but the human ships moved faster than light, phasing in and out of space. One by one, Threx ships vanished into explosions. The last thing Valon saw before his command deck shattered was a glowing symbol burning across his view screen, a hand reaching for a star. Then, silence. The Dominion trembles news of the defeat spread like wildfire. For the first time in centuries, the Threx Dominion felt something unfamiliar. Fear. Overlord Carthun sat alone in his dark chamber, watching the reports. Entire sectors lost. Fleets destroyed. Outposts taken but not burned, and always the same message left behind in human language. "We do not seek your death. We seek your memory." He slammed his claws on the table. "Why leave messages? Why not destroy us outright?" His advisor answered quietly, "Perhaps they want us to remember what we once mocked." Echoes in the dark far beyond the Threx capital, on the edge of their empire. A lone communication satellite floated in silence. Then one night, it came alive. Static filled the air. A voice broke through, deep, calm, human. "We are the Starborn fleet. We were dust. You laughed at our ruins. Now we command the stars." The signal spread across thousands of worlds. Citizens gathered in fear as the words played again and again in every language. "We are not your enemies. We are your reminder." The turning point inside his palace, Overlord Carthun stared at the stars, silent. He remembered the ancient stories of Earth, the war, the fire, the fall. He had laughed at them once. Now those same ashes had come alive again. He turned to his generals. "Prepare every fleet, every weapon. If humanity truly lives, we will meet them in the stars." But deep down he knew, this war would not be like any before. The humans had returned not as conquerors, but as something greater, something unstoppable, something the Dominion had once called impossible. And somewhere out there, beyond the edge of his senses, Admiral Lyra Voss watched the Threx fleets forming. Her eyes calm, her voice steady. "They think this is war," she said softly. "But this is only the beginning of remembrance." The stars trembled. Every empire, every world, every ship that could receive a signal heard the same transmission. "We were dust. You mocked our ruins. Now we command the stars." It came from nowhere and everywhere. The Starborn fleet had revealed itself at last. The arrival at the edge of the Threx Dominion, near the burning system of Volaris, something impossible happened. Dozens of bright blue lights appeared in the dark, small at first, then growing, stretching, twisting. Space itself seemed to open like a wound. From the rift emerged ships, black as shadow, smooth as glass, larger than any Threx vessel. Each one carried the mark of a human hand reaching for a star. The Threx fleets were already waiting, their formations spread across the system. Thousands of warships stood ready. Overlord Carthun's voice thundered across the command network. "They dare invade the Dominion. Destroy them all." But when the humans appeared, they did not fire. Their ships moved in calm silence, forming a perfect line. A single transmission came through, from the flagship Eden's Wrath. A woman's voice, clear and steady. "This is Admiral Lyra Voss of the Starborn fleet. We come not for conquest, but for memory." The first contact Carthun snarled. "Memory? You come with warships." Lyra replied softly. "We come with truth. You mocked our fall. You called us extinct. Yet here we stand." Then she spoke the words that silenced the universe. "You thought Earth was dust. You never understood that from dust. We are born again." Her voice faded, and for a moment nothing moved. Then the Threx fired first. Hundreds of beams of red light cut across the void. The human ships vanished, teleporting, bending, slipping through quantum folds. When they reappeared, they were already behind the enemy. Their weapons glowed blue, silent, surgical. One by one, Threx ships shut down. Engines dead, weapons frozen, not destroyed. Just disabled. Carthun stared in disbelief. "They're sparing us." His general growled, "Mercy from humans?" But it was true. The humans were not killing. They were demonstrating. Power with control. Strength without cruelty. The power of the Starborn. The battle lasted only an hour. When it ended, the Threx fleet was defeated without a single death. The surviving ships drifted, helplessly, as the human flagship approached the Threx. Capital, a massive world of silver spires and golden seas. As Lyra's ship entered orbit, her voice echoed across every communication line in the Dominion. You mocked our ruins. You thought we were gone. But humanity does not vanish. Humanity adapts. We remember who we are and we remember who you were. All across the Dominion, civilians looked up at the sky in awe. No bombs fell. No cities burned. Instead, the human ships released swarms of drones that healed the damaged satellites, restored power to broken systems, and left behind small beacons glowing with blue light. Each beacon carried one message. We are not your enemies. We are your reflection. Face to face on the surface, Overlord Carthun stood on the steps of his grand citadel as the human shuttle landed before him. The air shimmered as the hatch opened. Admiral Lyra Voss stepped out, tall, calm, eyes sharp as steel. Her armor was black and silver, glowing faintly with quantum light. Carthun glared. You dare walk here, human? This world belongs to the Threx. Lyra looked around at the towering buildings, the crowds watching in silence. It belongs to those who remember. You forgot what it means to grow. To fall and rise again, he hissed. We showed you mercy once. We let your ashes rot in peace. Lyra's voice turned cold. You never showed mercy. You showed mockery. And from that mockery we found purpose. She stepped closer. We could have erased your fleets. We could have turned your empire to dust, but we didn't. Because we are not the humans you laughed at. We are what comes after. Carthun said nothing. For the first time in his long life, he felt small. Lyra raised a hand. Behind her, the sky filled with light, hundreds of human ships shining like a second sun. You wanted to remember Earth as ruin, she said. Remember it now as rebirth. The dawn of peace days later, the war was over, without destruction, without revenge. The Threx signed a pact with the Starborn fleet, an agreement of peace, cooperation, and remembrance. For the first time in their history, the Threx listened rather than ruled. Human engineers helped repair what war had broken. Threx scientists shared knowledge lost to time, and across every world of the Dominion a new monument was built, a simple stone carved with ancient words. Humanity endures. Humanity remembers. The return to Earth, but Lyra's journey was not done. When peace was secured, she turned her fleet toward the old solar system, toward the dead blue planet that had once been home. The ships entered orbit around Earth, still broken, still silent, still waiting. Lyra stood on the bridge, looking down. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. We are home. The humans began their greatest work yet, restoring their world. Machines descended into the dust. Oceans were reborn. Green returned where grey once ruled. From ruin, life began again. The message to the stars before leaving orbit, Lyra sent one final transmission across the galaxy. To every race who mocked us, to every world that forgot us, and we hold no hatred. We were ashes once, but ashes can rise. We were broken once, but broken things learn to endure. We are humanity, and we have come home. The message ended, and the stars burned brighter than ever before. The era of fear was over. The age of remembrance had begun. The stars watched silently as humanity returned home. Earth, once a planet of ruins, of smoke and ash, now glimmered faintly beneath the orbiting Starborn fleet. Lyra Voss stood on the bridge of her flagship, Eden's Wrath, gazing at the world that had given humanity its first breath and its first failure. She remembered the stories told by her ancestors, of oceans that sang, of forests that whispered, of skies that held every dream, all lost, all gone. Now they were coming back, the rebirth of Earth. The Starborn had begun the work of rebuilding. Machines descended into ruined cities, repairing, reconstructing, restoring. Towers rose from dust. Forests grew where deserts had reigned. Rivers flowed where cracked land once lay. Children ran through streets once silent, laughing where ghosts had walked. Lyra walked among them, her boots sinking into soft new soil. She touched the ground and whispered, We are ashes, but ashes can become soil. Soil can grow forests, and forests can touch the stars. Every step she took carried history, every ruin remembered, every memory honored. The Threx and the universe watched far across the galaxy. The Threx Dominion observed in awe. The empire that had mocked humanity now saw the truth. This species was unstoppable, not because of weapons or fleets, but because of resilience, unity, and will. Carthun, the overlord, watched the starborn ships gliding over Earth, restoring oceans, planting forests, rebuilding cities. He whispered to no one. We laughed at ashes, and now we see stars in their hands. The humans had not returned for revenge. They had returned to remember. The starborn legacy Lyra called the people together in the rebuilt capital. A great plaza of silver and stone rose around the old statue that had once stood in New York, the words carved there long ago, "Humanity endures." She stepped forward and addressed the crowd. We were dust. We were ruins. We were forgotten by the universe. But we survived. We remembered, and now we build again, not for war, not for power, but for life, for hope, for the stars themselves. The people cheered. Children waved blue lights in the sky. Ships hovered above, casting shadows like wings of light. The starborn knew that from now on, their destiny was to guide, to protect, to explore, not to conquer, but to shine. A tribute to the past, Lyra walked to the ruins of the old cities. She placed her hand on cracked stone, feeling the echoes of humanity that had come before. They mocked our ruins, she said softly, and yet here we are. From ruins we rise, from dust we grow, from memory we live. A monument was erected over the site, a spiral of glass and metal reflecting the stars. At its center, a blue flame burned, eternal. Beneath it, the message for all time: we were ashes. Now we are starlight. A message to the stars. Lyra sent a final transmission across the galaxy. To those who doubted us, who laughed at us, who called us extinct, humanity endures. Humanity remembers. We are not a memory. We are the present. We are the future. And we command